Assuming control. We are the harbinger of their perfection. Prepare these humans for ascension.
What is up? Drama alert? No, I'm not even gonna go there. What's going on, YouTube surfers? I hope you're doing great, and thanks for tuning into my video. What's playing here is some Mass Effect 2, and I'm doing the mission called Horizon, where I'm sent to investigate, wait for it, Horizon? Who would have thought? And it's basically like you lose communications with some colonists that's there, and you end up finding out that a mysterious alien race called the Collectors are behind everything. Now, it wasn't until I played Mass Effect 2 again that I noticed that the Collectors are basically the aliens from Battle Los Angeles, like even the sound. So I played through this game on the hardcore difficulty level, which is one less than the max difficulty. And with that being said, the game isn't necessarily easy. I do end up dying several times on the last fight before I complete it. I'm not sure how I'm going to edit it in there, but I just want you to know that the last mission, or not the last mission, the last fight, it wasn't a one and done. So originally, this video was only going to be me talking about the Master Chief Collection coming to PC. But as I was kind of brainstorming some things, thinking about some stuff, I felt like telling my history with Halo. So with that being said,
warning, this video might get a little thick.
But that's okay, because there's few things that I enjoy more than discussing games, especially when it comes to something like Halo, and I'm just really glad that I have a platform to do that on. Then I might talk a little bit about like what kind of frame of mind it put me into after hearing about Halo coming to PC. So you might have heard that I like Halo in a couple of my previous videos, but I want to start off by saying that Halo is a title that has honestly not only changed my life, but shaped it as well. I imagine myself being very, very different if I never came into contact with that game, and I get it, that might sound silly, especially for those of you who don't game, but I stand by that statement tooth and nail. That's kind of part of the reason why some players get offended when people say it's just a game. Well, yeah, it is just a game, but football is just a sport, music is just sounds, clothes are just fabric, a car is just a car. You get my point. When you reduce something down to that level, yeah, it does sound trivial. It's all subjective. I'm not trying to harp on those who don't game. I realize that not everyone who watches my videos is a big gamer, but I'm just kind of trying to get my point across, that's all. So Combat Evolved. I was introduced to Combat Evolved by a great cousin of mine when I was about 7 years old. Looking back, I have no idea how he came across it, but I remember that he was ecstatic to get it and play it. Now keep in mind, this is the first title, the first iteration of Halo. We didn't have previous games to create the hype. We also didn't have social media. Nowadays you have trailers a year and a half before the game comes out. You got gameplay, a lot of gameplay before release. It's to the point where nowadays you feel like you've almost played some of the game before it even comes out. Now, despite not having any of this back then, he was still really excited. It's almost as if he knew just how important this game would be to me and other people as well in the future. So I did play some Combat Evolved, but like I said, I was about 6 or 7 years old, so I don't remember a lot about it. Halo 2. Things really kind of started to kick off with Halo 2, I'm not even gonna lie, and that was about 2005 for me. And this time, not only was my cousin on board, but my brother was as well. He was hooked, I was hooked, and the game really just skyrocketed at this point. There were improvements across the board with graphics, mechanics, but I think the biggest thing with Halo 2 was Xbox Live. In my realm of understanding and experiences, Halo 2 was the first game to have serious online multiplayer, which is huge. Obviously, not every single game, but the majority of the games that come out nowadays, it's like, oh, online it's a function, it's built into the game, everybody expects it, you know. I played the ever-living crap out of campaign, split screen, and I even did play some online myself as well. I wasn't the best, but I did a little something. I can't even really begin to describe the feelings that I get thinking about the amount of memories that I have playing Halo 2 co-op, staying up on those endless summer nights. Now, all of the titles, well, all of the important Halos have co-op, but for me personally, Halo 2 was like the height of couch co-op, period for me. Alright, now it's time for the big kahuna. So, I don't quite remember how I first heard about Halo 3, but I remember that there was this channel back in the day named G4. Now, if you've never seen G4, the best way I can describe it is it was kind of like some of the gaming YouTube channels out right now that kind of cover news, and they have like little segments and stuff like that. Maybe think like GameSpot. Imagine GameSpot but on TV and a lot better. That's what G4 was about. So they had a video segment at the time called Countdown to Halo 3, and they would play it every so often, counting down to the release of the game. Now I'm gonna play a clip that I was able to find right now for you.
The countdown to September 24th is on, and G4 will be at the center of the Halo universe with 5.5 hours of live coverage, as gamers everywhere count down to the midnight release of Halo 3. And best of all, we're giving away special Halo 3 Xbox 360s all night long. Halo Nation, rise up. Halo 3 Countdown Live, Monday, September 24th, exclusively on G4.
So I just rewatched the video as I'm working on this commentary, and I was just getting chills. This is without a doubt the most hype I have ever been for a game, and potentially the most hyped I ever will be. You could see from the video just how the world was reacting. I remember I was so geared up for this that I made paper cutouts of some of the weapons in the game. On that same topic of hype, Halo 3 had an ad campaign called Believe, and they were like 5-minute live action videos that were incredible. They were about actors recounting the events of Halo 3. Then there were the vidocs, which were made by Bungie, delving into the development of Halo 3. The vidocs were kind of like mini documentaries. And when I say delving, I mean delving. Those vidocs are truly and honestly one of the most incredible things I have ever witnessed about a game's development. The amount of passion, energy, and drive was phenomenal. I swear by it up and down. If developers cared about titles nowadays half as much as that team did with Halo 3, gaming would be as good as it was back then. I feel like it's important to give remembrance to things like this, because I definitely feel like we could be holding game developers to a higher standard nowadays. I'm gonna downshift with you for a second and be 100. Just like I said in my second video, it's one of my goals as a YouTuber, as a person, to be as honest and straightforward as I can. It's really nice to be honest. It's really nice to be truthful to yourself, to others. With that being said, I'm not afraid to admit that on several occasions, I've gone back and I've watched some of those old videos or midnight release footage of Halo 3, and I just genuinely cried. Now, that's not all about the game. It's also about some things surrounding it. I'm just an extremely nostalgic person, and I miss the 2000s a lot. I'm probably going to talk about that another time more, but yeah. I hope I didn't drag you down too much with that, but I just thought it was a pretty interesting thing, and I don't have a problem telling the truth. I don't have a problem being honest with you. That's just kind of an example of the impact that the game has on me and on a lot of other people, I'm sure, as well, you know. So the game actually released when I was in middle school. I remember the exact day, the exact time. It came out 3 days before my birthday. And the funny thing, it wasn't really funny at the time, but the funny thing about that is I didn't have a 360. My best friends in the neighborhood had an older brother who had a 360. He was a Halo fan, and he actually went to the midnight release. So that day, September 25th, 2007, after I got home from school, I jumped on my bike and I rode to their house as fast as I could, just so I could see the game. I even remember what map he was playing on. He was playing on Isolation. I didn't get to play over there very much, if any at all. You know, it was his machine. He was older and we were pesky kids, so, you know, I don't really blame him. But within the next couple of visits to my house, my brother had the game, and you better believe I played every single chance I could. So just like Halo 2, I mostly played co-op and local at my house, but I did get to experience online when I went and visited him. And that was until we got good enough internet at my house. Look, the online experience was phenomenal for Halo 3. Halo 2 did lay the framework, but this game went above and beyond for Xbox Live. It's really hard for me to imagine how I survived, but it wasn't until a year later that I got my own Xbox. I'll tell you how I survived. It was because I had recently gotten a Wii. The Wii was relatively new at the time. It had just came out, and that was like the only thing that was holding me up. That was my last string holding me up until I was able to get Halo 3 for myself and, you know, have my own account. So, you know, once I got my 360, I definitely played that game into oblivion. And especially with another friend of mine in the neighborhood who was so close that we were basically family. My Halo 3 co-op experience is a close second with Halo 2. And I mean close. How close do I mean? This close. If you've been a gamer for a while, it's probably pretty hard for you to just like pick one favorite title ever. If you're like me, when somebody asks you like, hey, what is your favorite game? I sit there and I'm just kind of like, yo, you're not gonna give me any kind of time frame. Like, are we talking classic games? Are we talking about multiplayer, RPG? But overall, I think if I had to pick a title, I would say that Halo 3 is my favorite game ever. Now, I'm not only basing that off of nostalgia, like a lot of people say, oh, you know, you're just looking through, what's that term, rose tinted goggles or glasses, something like that. I'm not basing it only off nostalgia. I'm also basing it off of the biggest thing that I personally look for in sequels, which is innovation. Not only that, but also, you know, hype buildup, delivery, the list goes on, and Halo 3 just checks so many of those boxes. Just to show you how much of a fanboy I am, I have a playlist on my channel called the Halo 3 Time Capsule, and inside of it is most of the Believe ad campaign and vidocs. There's also some other videos about Halo 3, like the midnight release footage that I was talking about. I highly recommend checking that out if you've never seen any of this stuff before, if you don't know much about Halo, or if you want a nostalgia trip. If you don't know much about this at all, if you go there, look at that Halo 3 Time Capsule, you can kind of get an idea of why myself and so many other people hold that game so high. So Reach, Halo Reach. I don't have a ton to say about Reach, but do not let that fool you. I'm gonna save most of what I have to say for the re-release on PC. I'm sure you guys have seen that the MCC is coming to PC. Reach was the first Halo that I was kind of on my own with, and I remember playing the beta. The beta was a blast. I remember specifically one Sunday, I woke up super early, way earlier than I normally would get up, and I got ready super fast just so I could play some of the beta before church. At the time, I was in 9th grade. Had my own Xbox, of course, but sadly I still wasn't old enough to go to the midnight release. My mom just wasn't having it. I always kind of considered Reach to be a part of the trilogy, you know, even though the events happened before Combat Evolved. But that's a good thing in my books. I'm kind of welcoming it into the Holy Trinity. If I just had to rank it, I would say that Reach was one step below Halo 3, but that's only if I had to rank it. I can't even give you a good reason. What I can say is Reach was definitely the most divisive title out of the 4 releases at the time, and I assume that's several things that people didn't like. You know, jetpack, sprint, the DMR. They made some pretty big changes. I'm not even gonna lie, and I know a lot of people also didn't like the story. Personally, Reach got everything right plus some. It was the perfect combination of innovation and sticking to its roots. And of course that definition is going to vary depending on the person. But for me, there is a balance between making new things, integrating new things, and also not forgetting what your game is about. And also the players who played your game when it was originally about, that same thing that a lot of developers seem to forget about. So yeah, that's where Reach wins so much in my books. I really don't see how anyone could dislike the story. It's the first time in any Halo where there's other Spartans. It's not only the Master Chief. Well, you know, Master Chief isn't a part of the story at all, but you know, it's not based on Master Chief. The characters were golden in my opinion. I know a lot of people say that they were static and boring. That's, you know, once again, that's all based on the person, but I love the characters. I think they did a great job. As I said, I'm not going to say much. I'm going to save the rest of what I had to say about Reach for the release on PC, and I do plan on making plenty of videos about Reach in the future. So bam, I'm going to stop right there with Reach, which is the last Halo that I played for several different reasons. I don't want to get too far into that right now. I want this video to be more about the positive side. If anyone's curious, I will be making a separate video in the future talking about why I stopped playing after Reach. So I literally have always wanted MCC on PC since I started playing PC. Since the game came out, I've always wanted this game to be on PC. I've been Googling / YouTube searching MCC PC for years now. I remember beginning to hear rumors right around the time that I created this channel, and when they announced it, I was in another country outside of where I'm stationed right now, and I was watching Inside Xbox, the live stream, with wishy-washy internet connection, but it held up just long enough for me to hear that it was coming to PC along with Reach, and I flipped my stuff. My reaction was something like this. And honestly, it's kind of crazy because it feels like it's a whole new release, which is not a bad thing, you know? The more they can do this, the more they can go back to older games, make them better. I have no problem with that. I am in the Insider program, and hopefully I'll be able to play some flight testing at some point. As of making this video, sadly I didn't get into flight number 2. Maybe it's for the best. Like I said, my connection right now is really being atrocious. God willing though, I'll be back in the US soon, and I am definitely picking this game up immediately on release from Steam. And as far as I'm concerned, it'll be my main game when it comes out. If you are a fan of Halo, I'd like to hear you make some noise in the comment section below.
Could we possibly make any more noise? I guess so.
If you enjoyed this commentary and gameplay investigating Horizon, going up against those collectors, leaving a thumbs up will let me know and help this video reach other awesome people like yourself. To see more of my content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell icon right beside it, which will let you know when I upload a new video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you come back sometime.